Welcome back to the kitchen of Vivacious Dish. I'm Chef Kathryn, and today I'm showing you a vivacious basic, bone broth. Bone broth is an amazing healing food. It's a staple of Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride's GAPS diet, and it's incredible for healing you from the inside out. So, bone broth is rich in collagen, which is one of the building blocks for regeneration of cellular tissue. And so whenever we're creating anything that is collagen rich, it helps to repair our inner gut lining. So any sort of digestive challenges that you might be having, it's excellent for that. It's also amazing for hair and skin. So this might be your new best kept beauty secret. A cup of bone broth every day in the morning. You're going to be digesting well and having radiant, beautiful skin also. I was especially inspired this week. I went to an event in San Diego put on by the San Diego Food System Alliance called Resource. It was a dinner where the chef at the Red Door, Chef Miguel Vasquez, put together a 5-course meal using ingredients that were repurposed. So ingredients that would have otherwise been thrown away, he turned them into some incredible dishes. And so looking at addressing the food waste issue in the United States, here in the United States, more than 40% of food that is grown ends up being wasted in some way or another. So if we can all start to think about ways to kind of reclaim our food system and help to repurpose some of those food that might otherwise be thrown away, that's obviously a great thing that we can all do to really help improve our food system. So I'm going to do broth 2 ways. We're going to do a vegan vegetable stock. So you can see that I have saved scraps from a bunch of food that I use throughout the week. I have the bottoms of Brussels sprouts in here. I have the stems of parsley. I have squeezed lemon rinds. There's some pepper pieces and tops, some cauliflower leaves. Pretty much all the vegetable scraps that you wouldn't use, onion skins, potato peelings, anything that you're not going to use. These are still rich in nutrients, and you can turn them into an excellent, healthy, nutrient-dense broth if you want to make a vegetable version. And then with our chicken, we're going to take our chicken, we're going to roast it, enjoy a delicious chicken meal, and then we're going to take that carcass, the leftover bones from that, and we're going to slow cook it to turn it into a rich and nourishing bone broth as well. The one thing to note too with the chicken is this chicken is a pastured chicken, meaning that that bird was out on pasture, roaming around, eating worms, living a really happy, healthy life. And I know for myself, if I'm going to choose to eat meat, it's really important to me that I'm eating meat that's coming from a healthy, happy animal. So I source this chicken from Heart and Trotter, which is an awesome butcher shop here locally in San Diego. They're really committed to sourcing clean meat, and I can trust them and where they're getting the birds from. This particular bird came from Gone Straw Farms, which is a pastured poultry ranch out near Riverside. But there's other options too in San Diego. But if you're going to eat birds and you can find them, I definitely recommend getting organic chicken, sticking away from any sort of GMO corn or soy products that your birds might be eating, and ideally you want to be having a pastured bird. So with that in mind, I'm just going to give our chicken a little love with some salt. I'm going to keep this seasoning on this really basic. I've found that with the pastured chickens, they have like a really beautiful chickeny flavor. They're delicious and juicy, so they don't really need a lot of extra flavoring. And that'll also be good for the broth, having a really neutral broth. This broth can be used, like I said, to drink every morning for healing, for better skin, nails, hair, all of that. But it's also awesome. You can mix it into pretty much any dish that you want. You could put it in a smoothie if you like it, to have just some extra nutrients in there. I've used it for baking cakes and other things, frostings. There's a whole spectrum of things that you can do with bone broth. It's pretty amazing. So we're going to have some fun with that. So this chicken's going to go in the oven, 350 degrees for 1 hour. You want to get the poultry temperature up to above 165 degrees. Enjoy that bird, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what to do once you have your carcass. So now that you've enjoyed your chicken, you've saved all of the bones and scraps, the skin, all of that stuff that you typically throw away. Don't throw it away just yet. We're going to use it and turn it into a really nutrient-dense broth. So with the chicken, all we're going to do is take the carcass, dump it into a slow cooker. It's that easy. I like to throw some herbs in there. This is rosemary and some thyme, just picked right outside in our garden. You can just toss them in. We're going to strain all of this after, so don't worry about presentation on that. A little bit more salt. You can use some apple cider vinegar in here too. That kind of amplifies the flavor. It's not necessary. Apple cider vinegar is also helpful because it helps to pull the nutrients out of the bones. But we're gonna do a 24-hour slow cook on this, and by that time, all of the nutrients will be out in our broth. So with that, we're gonna take it and just cover this with filtered water. So we have our chicken in there covered in filtered water. You want to use enough of the water to cover all of the bones completely. And we're going to cover that, and we're going to set it to low and leave it for 24 hours. We'll check back on that tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm also going to do the veggie broth option here. So like I said, these are all scraps from produce that I use throughout the week for different cooking and demos. So we're just going to fill our pot with whatever we can fit in there. I'm hoping we can get most of this in. We're going to use the lemon scraps. The lemon adds a really nice, light, citrusy flavor to this. It's delicious. I have some ginger in here as well, which will add some nice spice. Some peppers that'll add some color. It doesn't really matter what you put in. It'll change the flavor of your broth a little bit, but really at the end of the day, it's just about pulling any extra nutrients out of these veggie scraps and not throwing them away just yet. So that's great. We have a nice big pot full of veggies there. Again, I'm going to add a little bit of salt in this. Cover it all the way to the top with filtered water. Turn it on for 24 hours, and we'll check back tomorrow to show you our broths. I just got home from a long day, and I'm excited because it's been cold in San Diego, and I want to make some delicious vegetable soup tonight. And so both of my broths have been heating for the last 24 hours, and they're looking beautiful and ready to go. So I'm going to start with the vegetable broth and show you how to strain it and get it ready. It's an excellent base for any of your soup preps. You can put it in pretty much any soup where you would use vegetable broth. And this one we had some lemon rind in it, so it smells really lemony and gingery, a little bit like asparagus, but in a good way. It's delicious. So I'm going to start first by putting my apron on. This can get a little bit messy because we're working with big containers. So we'll start there. And then when you're straining your broth, obviously there's a lot of vegetable matter in here. So I like to use either a fine strainer, or you can also use cheesecloth. I'll show you how to do this both ways. So with our fine strainer, you can just take a big bowl. And this is hot because it's been heating for a while now. So proceed with caution. But it's pretty easy. So you can put your strainer on your bowl, and then we're just going to take this off. We're just going to pour it slowly into our bowl. You can see that our vegetable broth has a gorgeous amber color. And it's ready to go. Very flavorful, full of nutrients, perfect for all your vegetable preparations. So for the chicken broth, same thing. It's fully cooked now, and there's all the bones have pretty much fallen apart in there, which is what we want. So you can see that it's beautiful amber color. With this one, I'm going to just take a little bit of time to scoop out some of the bigger bones. It'll just make it a bit easier to pour. It's really quick and easy. So you can see all of this chicken stuff. We're just going to pull out of there. We've pulled all the nutrients out of this by cooking it on low heat for the last 24 hours. So with our pastured chicken broth, I'm going to show you how to do it with a cheesecloth for straining as well. So we're going to take all of the broth, now that we have the bones out, and just pour it into a bigger bowl with a big lip on it. You can see in the bottom we just have the leftover chicken. That's perfect. We'll just leave that here. And then from our bowl, this bowl has a little bit of an edge on it. That's going to make it a lot easier. And I'm going to pour it into this jar and have it stored in the fridge for the week. So then every morning I just take a little bit out, heat it up on the stove, and I have a beautiful cup of nourishment and healing to start my day. So we take cheesecloth, it's double layer here, put it into our jar, and then we're just going to pour it straight on through. And there you have it. Broth two ways. We've got chicken broth, nourishing chicken bone broth, and a beautiful vegetable stock for all of our needs. Enjoy.